So I wanted to make this video more so as a diary or a journal to myself, as a journal or a diary or a list of entries of advices, I guess, that I wish I had received. Brutal and honest advices that I should have got when I was 20, but unfortunately at that time, or at that stage of my life, I didn't have the mentors necessary to be able to give me what I'm about to give you today. My name is Zakaria Adhan. I am a 25-year-old entrepreneur with a background in tech sales. I am the founder of the Silicon Sales Institute, where we generate multiple six figures annually. We also consult and have helped multiple tech firms go to market, generating 6-7 figures annually also. That's a little bit about my background. I came from nothing, small town called Luton, just outside of London. Didn't go to uni, dropped out of uni. I did okay in school, but this video that I'm making for you today is genuinely something that I wish I had, and I wish that I saw when I was turning or about to turn or go into the second decade of my life, which was 20 years old. So the first point that I want to make to you, my friend, is if you're not taking action with the information that you have, do you deserve the information in the first place? And I wish someone had told me this a long time ago. And this relates more specifically to personal development and those who are very interested in the field and subject of personal development. They find themselves consuming a lot of content, a lot of books, a lot of knowledge, a lot of articles, a lot of blogs in the field of personal development so that they can do better for themselves, their lives, their families, and the people around them. For years, I treated personal development just the same way I'm describing it now, like football highlights. I watched everything. I consumed everything. I read every personal development book out there, but I never played. I never took action. I never took the steps towards, even though I knew what to do and what to implement, I just was sitting on the sidelines and just watching whilst others were actually taking action and implementing what they said they were going to do. When I say I consumed everything, I could name every author, I could name every book, I watched every single video, I listened to all the big guys, and I couldn't do the simple things. And when I say the simple things, I'm talking just getting to bed on time, being able to pray my salah on time, being able to eat clean and eat healthy, working out at the gym or having an hour workout every single day, doing an hour, just an hour of deep work without getting distracted by this stupid thing here, you know? There were so many things that I just wasn't doing, even though I knew what I should be doing. And the biggest one for me was the sleep. Just getting to bed on time, something so simple you'd think it'd be easy to do. It was really hard for me. What I used to tell myself very simply is that if I learn more and more complex concepts, and if I go further up the chain and listen to the bigger guys who are doing more, like who are doing better than the guys that I was reading beforehand or their content that I was consuming beforehand, somehow that is gonna figure itself out, and then all the easy stuff like going to sleep early, not binge scrolling and frying your dopamine receptors, not eating unhealthy, working out on a regular basis, doing deep work, reflecting and journaling in the morning. Simple things like this that people know that they should be doing. I thought that they would just follow along, but they didn't. And the truth is, the longer that you sit with the information and the longer that you hold on to it without taking any steps forward, without actually implementing it, not for 2 days, not for 1 week, not for 1 month, but on a regular, consistent basis, so it becomes a part of you, then I'm sorry, then you're not gonna get anywhere. You won't get anywhere with it. It will just stay as information, and that goes back to my original point of what this topic is about. If you have this information and you're not taking action on it, do you actually deserve it? So to wrap up this point, I wanna give you 2 practical tips and action steps that you can take that will just nullify all the things that I mentioned and not put you in that category, because you don't want to be in that category that I was in before. And the first thing is simply going to sleep early. Why do we go to sleep early? Do we go to sleep early for the sake of going to sleep early? No, we go to sleep early so that we can wake up early, right? But I don't want to say to you, wake up early, because you waking up early, it's not basically what you just want to aim for. Because if you say, I'm gonna go to sleep at 1 a.m., but I'm gonna wake up at 5 a.m. and have a full productive day, it's just not gonna work. The remedy or the action that you should be taking is very simply going to bed earlier so you can wake up earlier. And also, as a Muslim, of course, if you're watching this and you are a Muslim, this is obviously gonna apply to you. Very simply, you should be waking up for Fajr fresh, ready to go. The Prophet ﷺ told us that there is barakah for my ummah in the mornings, right? So you should be taking advantage of the saying of our beloved and the most beloved, alayhi salatu wassalam. And the second practical tip, and it's up to you whether you want to implement this or not, because it will genuinely have the biggest impact you've ever seen from anything in your life if you were to actually implement this. And it's to do with this thing here. This phone that you see in my hand, and this phone that you may be holding in your hand right now, or the screen that you're looking at, and the distractions that are on it, are the barrier towards you being able to jump over and actually find the definition you have for success, genuinely. So whenever you're going to do something meaningful, whether it's spending time with family, whether it's working on a business, whether it's learning a new skill, go ahead and get that phone and the notifications and the distractions that come along with it out of your sight. Put it in another room. I'm not saying try and build discipline, because you have to understand something. These phones are designed, they're designed in a specific way so that if you see the notification or hear it, or it triggers some sort of dopamine in your brain where you cannot stop. So there's a concept in Atomic Habits, I think it's habit 2 or rule 2 or something, about making your environment invisible, making it invisible. And very simply, when I started to leave my phone outside the room before I went to bed, when I'm doing work, I started to get into the habit that, wow, I'm not going to check this thing because it's not even there to distract me. Give it to your mum, give it to your wife, give it to your sister, give it to your brother, give it to your friend. Tell them, do not give it back to me until I have done X, Y, and Z. So if you implement those 2 things, 1, getting to bed early, and 2, putting your phone in another room and just staying away from it so that you can actually focus and conduct deep work, it will have the biggest impact on your life. The second advice from this list that I'm going to give to you is, don't take advice from someone who isn't in a position that you want to be in. It's very simple. Would you take advice on fitness and gym and exercise and health on an individual that's obese? Would you take advice on how to drive a car with a gear stick from someone that doesn't know how to drive? Would you go and train in a gym and learn and study under someone to fight and to be able to subdue your opponent? Or whether it's MMA or Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu, from someone who's never trained the sport before or has not even competed at a level that you want to be able to get to? Now, of course, there's a caveat to this, which I'll come on to, but I think growing up, my family and my friends and the people around me gave me a lot of advices in lots of different areas in my life. And for that, I thank them. And I don't believe that their intentions were ill. But the reality is, I had my own goals. I had my own ambitions and aspirations of places that I wanted to get to. So for me, taking advice from them, for example, on financial literacy and being able to hit my goals financially, when they were not necessarily in a position to be able to advise me on that because they hadn't reached where I want to go, wasn't the smartest thing to do, right? For example, my family members thought that the best way to be able to generate revenue and to make money in the safe route was to just go to university and do it that way. And they were individuals who had never been to university in the first place. Does it mean that they wanted bad for me? No, of course not. They wanted good for me. But for you to take advice from someone on something that they are not a specialist in, or they haven't reached the heights that you want to reach, it's not right. But what that does mean is that you can have mentors and advisors and people who give you advice in certain aspects and areas of your life. For example, when I have a question on spirituality, or I have a question on my religion and my deen, I go to my sheikh, someone I confide in and trust in, because he has reached the levels of knowledge that I aspire to reach one day. So of course it's wise for me to go to that individual. But would I then go to my same sheikh to go and get advice on how to scale my business, or how to run paid ads, or how to be able to hire the next team member? No, I wouldn't, because he doesn't know anything about that field, with all due respect to him. So what do you do instead? If you can find a mentor in a certain area of your life that you want to improve, for example, you want to be able to make more money, get a mentor who is a business owner or someone who's making a lot more money than you are and is in a position that you want to be in. If you want to improve your deen, go ahead and find a local imam and sheikh and sit under him, study with him, take knowledge from him, go to him for advice. If you want to be able to get in the gym and get fitter, lose weight, gain weight, build muscle, get fitter, build your cardio, whatever it is, right? Go to a person who knows what they're doing and can demonstrate that. If you can't do that, and you can't find a mentor in your local vicinity or even online nowadays, then go ahead and find the books that are written on the subject matters that you want to excel in, that you want to exceed your targets, exceed your expectations. I want you to understand something very, very clearly. A book written by an author is not just a book that they've written, but this is a collection of ideas and theories and things that they've reflected on and past experiences and knowledge that you would not otherwise be able to get from that individual if you were to just sit in an hour conversation with them. It's an accumulation, and because they've spent so many hours in and put time and dedication and effort into this book, you will come away with gems from this individual that, again, you wouldn't have been able to get out of them if you even sat with them for a whole week. So I invested in a lot of mentors in different areas of my life. I paid money. I think it's the easiest way to be able to execute on that. It saves a lot of time. Time is your most valuable asset. If you think that you have a year or 2 years to be able to go through this, no, you should be thinking to yourself, I've got 6 months to completely turn the shape and trajectory of my life. If I'm earning 30K, 35K a year like I was before I kind of went on this journey, and you need to be able to go ahead and double that in the next 6 months, or triple that, or quadruple that, or 10x that, I've got 6 months. And it comes from the things that you do when it comes to your habits and also your mentors and who you take advice from. One thing that I see is a trap that many people fall into, which unfortunately I also used to fall into, and that's getting advice from all Tom, Dick and Harry in all different areas of my life. 20 different people for the same problem. I have a problem in my life. I go to him, I go to her, I go to my auntie, I go to my mom, I go to my friend, I go to my teacher, I go to this person, that person. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? How do you think that's gonna help you? Are they even qualified to advise you on that, right? And some people, they just do it because they love talking. They love to just air out their problems, their opinion. But you should just find one person, even if you don't know, because look, at the end of the day, you probably know how to solve that problem yourself without asking anyone. You know, but you just want that conversation, that fuzzy, warm feeling that, yeah, like, I know what I'm doing is right. Do it yourself. You don't have to air out your problems to everyone all the time. But if you have to, go and find one person who you trust and you know they're gonna give you a solid, valuable answer. And the only time you go to someone else is if that one person says to you, I'm really sorry, I'm not the best person for this. Other than that, stop asking so many people. The third advice that I'm going to give to you is something I really wish someone had told me. And that is, do not go to university unless you need the degree to go and do the job that you really want to do. Unless you actually need it. Not just you think it'd be good to have, but you actually need it. The worst investment a 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old can make in their lives is an investment in a degree that they're not even gonna use. Subhanallah. I went to university. I started at university. I actually managed to receive an offer from the University of Oxford to study law. I was one of the first people from my area, my town, to actually do so. And not only that, they were the best at law in the world at that time, competing with the likes of Cambridge, Harvard, Yale University. And I really wanted to go. And I never ended up going for reasons that I don't want to get into in this video, but I did end up going to university because my parents really wanted me to go. And did I want to go? I didn't know, kind of. I thought it was just the only thing to go and do anyway. I didn't really think about it like that. I thought it was just the next natural progression. But that being said, I dropped out after 2 years. I had my own reasons as to why I dropped out. You know, I didn't agree with riba and interest and paying interest Islamically, even though beforehand I was satisfied that it was permissible and it was halal from an Islamic perspective. I was no longer satisfied of that. But even on its own, without riba, put riba and interest out of the equation. Let's say it was permissible, right? And it was halal to go to university. On its own, the points that I'm about to mention as to why university is not a good investment in the first place are strong enough to be able to stand on their own without you having to say that, oh, I'm dropping out because, you know, university is haram. The main thing with university is that you have to look at everything that you invest in, because that's what it is, right? It's an investment. If I know in some countries like Scandinavia or Italy or other places around the world, university is really, really, really cheap on an annual basis or even free. So if you actually need the degree, for example, law, for example, pharmacy, or very specific fields of engineering, where nowadays you don't really need to be honest with you, there's like apprenticeships and stuff, then in that case, okay, it seems like a justified investment. But when you make an investment, and university is an investment, that's exactly what it is, you have to ask yourself, what is the return on investment? If I pay this money and I spend this time, because it's not just money that you're spending, it's time that you're also spending, then in that case, you have to say, what is it that I'm getting out of it? What's the salary that I'm going to be on? What's the package? What are the packages? What is it that I'm going to get out of it in 10 years time, 5 years time? Because the state of the world and the state of the economy today is that graduates are graduating, spending 4 years at university for a £28,000 salary. Sorry, excuse me? And then you have to ask yourself, is it worth the 3 to 4 years? When I put it like that, of course it sounds like obviously not. But people don't think like that. People think, oh, but what else am I gonna do? There's plenty of other things that you can do. Just don't make the decision to go to uni if you don't know what you wanna do. Like, if you don't know if you actually need the degree or not. Don't rush into it. You will figure it out. You will find time. You're better off going and doing a trade, or better off just going and learning some skills before you dive off into university. And as I was saying before, if uni is free, like I know in some countries, like in Scandinavia or in Europe or other parts of the world, like here in the Middle East, university can be sponsored or it can be free or government funded, right? So you have to then say to yourself, what is the investment I'm making? And this investment that you're making is your time. If I spend 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, however long it takes, can I make more money with this degree, or can I then spend 5 years focusing on building skills like sales or marketing or operations or consultancy or whatever it is, right? And can I make more money that way, building up experience? Like, you have to weigh these things up and speak to people and figure it out. And the main thing I would say to you is very simply to summarize it. If you don't know what you want to do at university, or you don't know what you want to do in your life, or you don't actually need the degree to go into the field and there's an accelerator or a shortcut in, don't go to university. Simply do yourself a favor. Not only that, I can speak for the UK, I don't know about other countries, it literally costs like 10 grand a year, almost 10 grand a year. And that 10 grand, if you were to spend it on coaching, if you were to spend it on mentorship and being around other business owners and being around successful individuals and learning hardcore skills, you would learn a million times more from a month of those people, even if you were to spend 30 grand in one go, than you would be in a university hall doing basically no work. Uni isn't work, let's be real. I've been to uni, a lot of people will tell you, you don't really do work at uni. A-levels was way harder than uni. The real advice that I would give is get into something like sales, get into something even like tech sales like I'm in, get into marketing, get into operations, go and build a business, go and learn how to, like, foundational business principles, read, invest in your reading, invest in your knowledge, invest in being around smart individuals, move to another country. I hate it when people come to me and say, I'm going to uni to go and study business management or business studies so that I could go and start my own business one day. Are you kidding me? The person standing in front of you, lecturing you, there's programs out there like Augment University, which I've actually completed, right? That teach you far more about business principles because they're actually from real entrepreneurs. And you're going to be learning from professors who have never even run a business before. Come on, give me a break, man. And the final and last point that I'm going to make, and probably the most important point that I'm going to make, is travel and leave your hometown, but only when you have certain foundations in place. And it's not money. Money is not the foundation. And I'm going to give them to you now. I have traveled across most continents around the world, alhamdulillah. I've visited many, many countries throughout my life. And I wish someone had told me this a long, long time ago, because I only started to develop certain prerequisites, you could say, which I'm about to share with you, only during my travels. And I wish I had them before I traveled, and it would have stopped me and prevented me from getting into not only a lot of trouble, but prevented me from a lot of situations that I didn't need to get myself into. I actually want to read a quote to you guys from Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah about what he says on the topic of travel, because I think it's beautiful and it encapsulates exactly the message that I'm trying to put out today. Travel and you will find a replacement for those that you leave behind. And there are 5 benefits to traveling: relief of distress, earning a livelihood, the gaining of knowledge, acquiring good manners, and the companionship of noble people. Profound, subhanallah, amazing. And this really just encapsulates what traveling is about. I've been to places that a lot of my friends and a lot of my family would never even think to go. Places like China, places like Thailand, places like Saudi, Kenya, Turkey, Tanzania, all over North Africa. I now live in the Middle East, in the UAE. And for me, traveling has taught me so many things that if I had stayed in my small town of Luton, I would have never have learned these things. You are molded by your environment, and your environment dictates how you act as a person. But when you travel, when you leave your hometown, you don't carry the same habits and the same speech patterns and the same things that you do on a day-to-day basis as you would if you would stay in your environment. So what does that mean? Is that you can actually truly find yourself. You can find out who you are. I remember the way I used to speak back in the day. I'm from Luton Town. The people who were around me and the friends that I had spoke in a certain manner. The way that I conduct myself today and the way that I speak. Some people may look at me and be like, why do you talk like that? You never used to speak like that. That's because I've improved, I've matured, I've become a different person. And for that, I'm thankful and grateful to Allah, firstly, for being able to guide me away from that, because that was my low-level self, to now becoming an individual who, when I present myself to others, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed to open my mouth and speak and communicate. So I'm gonna end it off on 3 simple things as the prerequisites before you go traveling, because don't just go traveling when you don't have these 3 things in place. The first prerequisite or thing you need is a strong, bulletproof ability to be able to say no. No to illegal substances. No to the temptation of women and the seduction of women. No to doing things that feel good in the moment, but you know that you will regret later down the line. The number of people that I know that have tried illegal substances and then, they just tried it because they couldn't say no, and because their friends were doing it, and because they thought they would just try and have a bit of fun, and that are now severely addicted, and it is now the destruction or the bane of their life, and that they cannot get rid of it. It's sad. It's really sad. And had they developed that will to be able to say no, that they would definitely do that now, earlier down the line. Maybe they should have received that advice, but they didn't, and I wish that they did. The second thing is 120 minutes, or the ability to have 120 minutes of focused work on building something for you, on a task, on a skill, on something for you. If you cannot sit down at a desk without any distractions, without your phone, without checking your tweets or Instagram or Reel or stories, without anything like that, and you just cannot sit there and focus on that task that's actually going to improve your life, then forget it. You're not going to be able to benefit from the conversations and the traveling and the focus required and the difficulties and the pain that need to be endured when you're traveling. So make sure that you have this in place. Make sure you have the ability and build it up. Break it into blocks. If it needs to be Pomodoro, 20 minutes, leading up to 120 minutes, so be it. If it's 45-minute session, and so on and so forth, leading up to 120 minutes, so be it. And then the last one is being able to look after yourself physically, being able to be physically fit, being able to go to the gym, being able to work out every single day, even if you don't have a gym nearby, being able to do a home workout, bang out on your... I remember even when I was on my honeymoon, right? I'm supposed to be enjoying myself. I would just pick up my phone, go on YouTube, whack out a home workout and do an ab crunch or something. It doesn't matter, right? Just being able to do what needs to be done, regardless of the conditions, the situations, where you are, what you're doing. And that comes, eating clean comes under that. Being able to eat healthy food, being able to look after yourself and not abuse yourself with certain chemicals, right? Your body is the foundation on everything that sits on it. If you want to be able to achieve great things, if you want to be able to do well for yourself, build a business, get into tech sales, go ahead and just build an empire, build a future for yourself, you cannot do it without having a strong body, a strong mind, a fit and physique. It doesn't mean you have to look like a bodybuilder, right? But it means, can you run a 5K sub 20? Can you go ahead and lift a certain amount in the gym? Can you do 10 pull-ups? Can you do 50 press-ups in a row? Like things that should be very physically easy for a man who trains, works out and looks after himself on a regular basis. Can you defend your family if necessary? I've been doing martial arts for many years now, and more recently a lot more striking and Muay Thai. And again, it's not so that I can fight people. I don't fight, I don't compete. But if the time comes or it's necessary, you don't want to embarrass yourself or have the regret that, oh, I should have really trained this, because then I would have known what to do in that situation, right? So I know it was a bit of a long-winded video if you've got to the end and you've actually listened to all of these advices. The message I have for you is that I wish someone had told me these many years ago. And the moment I started implementing these, it was like a switch just flipped in my life. Everything did a U-turn, 360. And I started noticing the impact and the effects and the positive effects in my life almost instantly, and I just wanted to be able to share it with you. So if you're able to even take one of these and implement it in your life, I promise you, you will see a major difference and become one step closer, or get one step closer to the goals and dreams and aspirations that you want to achieve.